for these teachers who are not equipped to just how to do what Aham does, right? So I'm trying to build those materials.
Can I speak to the importance of that?
Please.
Okay, so a thing that I'm fascinated about is like our obsession with Western class. That is the way to learn music. That's the way that you play music. And Bach is the greatest composer ever, and you know all of this stuff. Like, I like Bach. I like Mozart. I like all that stuff. One thing that I really, a musician I really love is someone named who's a Nigerian musician. He's of Yoruba. He plays music. He's long passed away, but he played music that was West African music that is completely untouched by colonialism. Music that he plays is and its record is as close to what music was before European intervention. Like, and I listen to that music, and you can find it on Spotify, YouTube, all that stuff. I listen to it, and I think to myself, this is in common with music today than classical music that foundation of the music that we listen to. Western music of modern popular music, it absolutely is not. African music of the music that your children and your grandchildren and your grandchildren's grandchildren, there are all of these wars. You know, Europe won the gun war. They won the Africa won the war on making music.
Yes.
Africa making music. And I think if you have if that's a hard pill to swallow to look at yourself, but it's the absolute reality that what we consume in musically, the important things, the important come from Africa. That is so. I listen to that music, and I think about the way that we in America that we teach children to do all this other stuff that has no relation to the music they listen to or that they want to make. And I mean, in the fact that so much of Western music, the diatonic scale, that Bach is so famous for, his well-tempered clavier. I mean, there are a lot of very valid theories that type of harmonic ideas came from Africa. Like, so we're not even talking just rhythm. We're like even these fundamental ideas of classical music came from Africa, and then all of these fundamentals now came from Africa, and then in the education system is how well you follow this. You're not the basis of the music that people listen to. And that's white supremacy. That's what it is. And when we talk, people hear that word and they shut off, and they're like, oh, I'm being brought up. But what I'm talking about is the idea that keeps us from the truth. It keeps us from the truth of how we got to the place that we are, the truth of the music that we listen to and that we love. It keeps us from understanding, like white artists, all of what they do is, in this African idea of music, we have to do so much work to make our education system and our understanding, whole financial allotment to how we fund things correspond. What is the music that actually affects now and the place we are, and what is the music of America? And the music of America is Black music. I mean,
every music played in America, whether it's jazz, rock and roll, bluegrass,
All the radio stations are playing Black music, y'all.
all African music. The banjo, that's an African instrument.
I hear you talking about the Black influence on music. I'm wondering, when white people are doing is this like something that bugs you?
I mean, sometimes it's a case by case basis for sure. You know, I mean, there are so many people that like you. There's so many things that you can find that you can. You know, I've been playing music professionally since I was 16 years old. That's the that I've had for my entire life. I'm 40 now. You know, and I live in Seattle, so I play with a lot of white musicians. Like, it's inevitable, you know. And the experience, usually when I have any white musicians, it's because they have an understanding of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Of the music, of where the music that they're playing came from. Like, you know, and this has to do with like race in America. You never hear anyone who, you know, becomes a master of karate, and then they're like, I don't really need. I think karate is for everyone. I don't like, you know, but that, but it does happen in so often in music. Like, music's for everyone. Soul music is for, but if you're not, if you internally can't where it came from and what it means and where it's going and what it's doing, then you can only form a certain part of that music. You can only mimic. You can only that's you. So it really depends on the experience of the person and also like the idea that you can say this music culture mine. It's not mine. My ancestors, what the blood that runs through my veins doesn't have anything to do with it. That it compelled me to dedicate my life to it. Beautiful. That I had to put myself into it. That feel that way about it is great.
Color they are.
People that are like,
Right.
Yeah.
People that pretend to be colorblind and like anyone that doesn't, and everyone's equally good at everything. And I don't have time. A lot of those people think that they're really good. A lot of those people that think that way think
They
they're
usually are the ones who
really good. They think they're really good at playing jazz.
What if at the big concert played by a mixed group of people, or maybe you're on stage and you're the only one of color there, but they started out
I wouldn't do that.
with what Ken started out, recognize as people of the land that we're on, and they started out with, first, let's give
mission statement.
jazz geniuses and the African ancestors that music.
If they added and we made a donation to I would be, you know, if you show me something tangible in there that goes a step further, but you know. I mean, it's a bizarre thing when we get into like black and white racial things. Like a lot of white people that do black things have a hard time acknowledging that what they're doing is a black thing. And there's nothing. That's great. There's nothing wrong with doing something from another, to the point where it was understood that we appreciated things. It was understood like we could do so much more, but there's so many cases where that's not the case. Where people just can't understand. They co-opt. They
exploit.
Of my work is to try and help teachers, many teachers teaching jazz music, because they are white, as like more than 100% of our secondary music teachers are white men. And there is fear about being an appropriator. I'm glad that at least that's being considered by some, but in my, at least personal, the jazz ed working definition of jazz music, blackness cannot be removed. It is Black American music, and that's a responsibility as an educator to go there. And that probably means as situating yourself as a learner with your students. And that's absolutely everything. I certainly don't. But to situate ourselves as learners, to study, and then to acknowledge that now we cannot remove the blackness, but we can still share this music. The community, we are honoring each other and our voice. Move it along. This is a music that was never meant to be stuck in time, that we're trying to mimic, which is what things like Jazz at Lincoln Center do with Essential. But at the end of the day, we are teaching children to sound just in band instead of something that Ellington himself would have appreciated.
I mean, but like themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, he rewrote parts anytime. So he himself, I would argue, would not enjoy that festival. Which we're not moving along. The music it actually always has evolved, and I really want us to be stuck in a place. We can evolve, but we can't. And so, how do we do that? Go ahead.
I'm so glad that we're having the conversation, because we, until we can be transparent enough to have conversations, to be able to acknowledge and to be able to understand the roots and origin of music, creativity, any of the many communities of color and indigenous people have made, until we're step into that place to be able to honor the heritage, the lineage, the culture, the art, the history, and of it. Until we're able to do that, I think this is how we will heal, because our history here in this nation, because of the history itself, the atrocities and the things that have happened here in our nation to get us to where, but to have these transparent conversations is a part of how we heal and how we begin to step into truth and so that we can evolve, and the music will evolve in our communities. And I think this is a healthy place to start.
I want to speak to that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I want to speak to that because it is,
Yes.
like, it's the right thing to do. And it's always good to,
I strive for it.
but beyond being the thing that is morally, it is also the thing. It is also the thing that if we continue thinking about jazz funding, and if we think about jazz and the history of music, if we think about how things have been going, what we end up with is an art form that doesn't move forward and doesn't bring new people in and doesn't build something. So, like, it's the right thing to do, but then there's an aspect of, like, we want to have things for people to enjoy, for people to like, for people to love, for the body to, for people to feel deep within them. And if you transform there through education systems, through financial systems, through capitalism, into something else, it might seem nice at first, but it's not going to have the made people move. It's not going to have the thing that woke up the. It's not going to do that thing. So by talking about how what jazz is, and we shift the focus to Black American improvised music and everything that contains, being Charlie Parker, Snoop Dogg, Tyler, this whole continuum of people that goes, if we don't think about it like that, and we think about it as this thing that Black people did one time and then white people mastered it. Think about it that way, we're not going to have to share this with. People are not going to, we're not going to grow. I just, as a musician, as a performer, I don't care about, except for connecting with my audience, making a change in their life emotionally, physically, how they feel. I'm not doing that thing. I don't have any interest. I don't have any interest going and playing and someone telling me I played my scales right, or I did the chords right, or I did the thing right. Like, and when jazz gets funneled into the white supremacist Western educational system, that's what it becomes. It becomes that they did this well. That's not a thing that needs to be said. Like, it's a thing that you experience. It's a thing that you go and you feel with your body and you feel with your mind, with all those things. So, in talking about, like, how we proceed and how we move forward, this is the right thing to do. But it's also like, we actually want people to like the music that we make. We want people to feel the thing that we felt in the 50s listening to Art Blakey. They didn't love that music because it fancy. It's because it was beautiful music that came from people's bodies and spirits. It was true and it was real. And nothing else matters besides that. So from that, the more people lose out on that experience, and the more people that really mean something, and having just gone through COVID, having just gone through periods of separation, like, you really realize that those experiences with other people, or even like those experiences of like getting to hear people play and like getting to hear, it's not something to be taken for granted. It's a real thing in your life, has a real impact on a lot of people's lives. And I personally just want to put the music that I grew up with, that I love, that can continue and survive, and the people that make it can make a living and feed their families. And, you know, it's a win-win if we do it right.
We're just about out of time.
I was just gonna say time, and I feel a real strong need to handle this question and don't. Go ahead. There's this dude right here. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I went to Roosevelt
Oh, nice.
and jazz program there in the early 60s.
It started with
I know, look, but when I was growing up, we'd go to dance. We'd go to a dance and we'd dance to the music. You know, the jazz bands in the 20s and the 10s, and it was all about getting people together and fight. You know, and appealing to them. And for I really was taken with by Jerry Lee Lewis, because they had rhythm and they had things that drove you. And I come things and say, man, I like that.
When
That
did you go to
sucked me
Roosevelt?
into it. Then I ran and then I played. And
I
then
think
had a
Walt
whole-
King
I had a
started the
whole-
jazz band at Roosevelt.
a very short rock, and then I went back to school again. But I never forgot how much I loved to rhythm and blues, frankly, and
Go Riders.
And so jazz started with guys who could, a band, you could piece band and go play good music for people, and they dance to it, and everybody had a good time. And off in the corner say, yeah, we could do that, like this too, I can go like Dizzy Gillespie and like that. I think those people kind of drug the thing off into a slightly more intellectual, which is marvelous. I love it. But the roots of dancing and having a good time.
Well, you have
I've
just.
never, I really loved when I did. And I just want to have that. I'm glad black people can move.
I
love it.
You say that.
Me too, and I appreciate how brought me to the thing that I just feel like we needed a little scope. And I just wanted to share with you that one example of what something that is going on is, in Seattle on 60 children ages 8 months old to 5 years old to 5 adults every morning to dance on drums and sing along with jazz musicians. And this this way of learning you had of music bringing you joy, and instead of having to visualize it, instead move your body and interact with, I happen to recreate that way of learning and are doing that. And these are kids who now jazz fans, right? They are at home singing for bedtime to John Coltrane's Naima. Good night, Mo. And this is just to say that we can institutionalize soulfulness, and I realize that is real. But it is something we can find our way. We can find, but we have to have conversations like this, and people who are willing to be courageous, important, and scary.
I was here for your movie, which I really enjoyed, and your conversation. I thought you said you're playing next month in Seattle?
I'm playing 11th at the Clock Out Lounge
The Clock
on
Out Lounge.
November 11th.
Okay.
That
I'll be there,
I'm
thank you.
biased, but
Very good.
What
pizza.
now?
Lockout Lounge on Beacon Hill, great venue. Playing there November 11th.
I wanted to just add something hopeful too, which was just an anecdote that came up in the festival business and was always attending the New Orleans Jazz Fest to be kind of a what you're describing, which was it was a while that sort of even though it was located in New Orleans, it's somewhat marginal, the Black experience in the music to the gospel tent, the jazz tent, and then there was but I just went back about 4 years ago, and there was and the festival now donates a huge percentage of its profit, and it goes right to system for jazz in New Orleans, and to instrument fund, to other like really tangible ways that they're teaching. It just made me hopeful that even though that's a festival that's owned by and run large corporations, that they found a way to kind of break that. So it can happen there, maybe it can happen here more in Seattle too.
That's wonderful. An optimistic note is just speaking to the events that they have here. Maria Albero,
Yes.
Yes.
incredible.
She's our We Love accompanist on Saturday.
Incredible musician from Spain, comes from
Unbelievable.
a musical family in Spain, and we're so honored to have her here. I've worked with her, and she really incredible. I really encourage everyone to see Maria Albero with Devon Lewis and Eva Floyd Barnes, both of them I played with in a band for 13 years, together with the most incredible musicians, plus Darius Woolrich, which is, I mean, the best
Great.
Black jazz musicians in Seattle history. Like, I'm not even talking about genuinely. And then Jazz on a Summer's Day is, I hope that people come back to the three events that were talked about there, because talk about it, but they're all really incredible. So.
And Kevin, do you
so many things I wanted to say in response to what I never realized until you described the competition that they're just learning how to play simple happens to be Ellington's music, and they're just learning to play it.
Not to say that it isn't the greatest American composer of all time, because it is, but published and now they are. So there are great things too.
I was asked an icebreaker question if I was stuck on a desert island, artist's music. Yeah, I didn't even think twice. Oh, it's this wide and it's this tall and it's so varied. I mean, you would never to his music.
I would say Charles Mingus, but he would say Ellington. So
Yeah.
it's
You gotta pick one, right? Anyways, the other thing is that there's a big, you may not know this, the current jazz musicians, and I think started it where he doesn't use the word jazz, doesn't call it jazz. It's Black American music, and that would be one way to really bring home music. Stop using the word jazz, and the only reason we use the word jazz is because that's what people want to use. But the
only issue I have with the term Black American music is that it implies that it is part of culture in America. But Black American music is American music.
It's
American music. Exactly. Right. It's the emphasis on American, not necessarily the emphasis on necessarily.
Well, I want to thank all of our literally go on for another couple hours, I think.
I got these.
A glass of wine. Thank you.
But I want to thank Kevin Callahan. Kelly Oluo. Oluo. Gosh, I'm trying to.
You're nervous about it, and it's all right.
I didn't have wine either. But thank you for all of your insights, all of your sharing. Thank you to the audience. This is not easy stuff to deal with sometimes. And I want to thank the conversation and contributing so much to it. Please, I think there may be 2 or 3 tickets left for folks projects. So yeah, I think
That's
we
great
just
news.
sold
That's putting your money where your mouth is right there.
I think we're sold out for, but there are definitely tickets available for Jazz on a Summer's Day. See you all very, very soon. Thank you so much on behalf of BIMA. Please come again.
Great conversation there, and we missed a little piece of it. Today, Each Island Museum, they're doing a lot of great things out here. These different perspectives. So shout out to BIMA, all the folks that came to come and share their experience, which is fantastic. So we will continue to do these things, and absolutely. Hey, how you doing?
All right. Where do you go to school?
Well,
Or like how to get a gig?
specialized. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But it was always like, man, you know how much I use one mode of music?
Yeah.
That'd be fun. And I go to I don't, you know,
Okay.
my work come back.
Yeah. Wow.
But I love checking out the museum. Check out the
Yeah. No. Oh, I don't know. It's just maybe I don't know.
Total
Very non-military. Like, very not. My dad was an elementary teacher.
That's
school team military. Okay. Go ahead.
Sorry, I have a daughter.
Oh.
I really wanted to ask. And,
Okay. Ish. Okay. Yeah. I mean, but pressure is all that matters to teachers. There's a lot of pressure that comes in, and their needs is what really matters. So if teachers are hearing from families that like I want, they're gonna find a way to do it. And what I've attempted to do is build some reading on our website that teachers can use that feel, oh, sure. Because I mean, yes, for my own purposes, that's my job. But like, why build it, right? So the mailing address is full, but everything else is checked. And there's a whole pull down for menu for educators. So a lot of these ways of thinking are accessible, and there are some that connect with the teacher for advice. That's my job, so no money. Like, yeah, so they can hit me up and I'll
All right, that is fantastic. Thank you. Right.
which is usually community driven.
Cover the school board meeting, so
Oh.
that's something. Well, you know.
Good for you. Someone's got to do that. Thank you.
Hi, how you doing? For a while. I came out here when they did some type of
Yeah, the march, right, that's what I'm the director of the museum, and
I wish I had known earlier, so I could,
I know.
was doing another show, like do that show to earlier. I can't be there physically. No, this is awesome. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. We like, even if it was 20 people, it's 20 people that,
Introduce yourself?
Pardon?
Wait,
No.
No?
I'm not the camera on. I'm like, even if I'm the director, I'm still like being
Well, tell them they can hear you, but they don't have to see you. But we do, I do appreciate it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I hope that people have access to it. That's why it's so important.
Yeah. No, I'm just gonna keep doing it. And, you know, put people on and so we're trying to find the audience, wherever they're comfortable. But tonight was encouraging for me. Just that, just and engaging in conversations.
Yeah. He was, so I was working with the Puget Black History Month.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember when you came in. Yeah. Yeah, careers and all just talk about
It's farm, so
months and more projects.
all right.
Oh, it's very nice.
Appreciate it.
Lindsay, thanks so much.
Well, Clea, what are you doing back in town? You know, you still alive, so you might as well go ahead and talk to the people. I think you're gonna be back. I was getting ready to send Tom an email. Go ahead and tell the people why something like
This is amazing. What's so important about this is our history. This is Black history. It's the history and footprints of those that have made those countries, how they've transformed our lives, all of our lives. It doesn't matter what color, how all formed by the music and by all of the work that they did. Tremendous. And that work was birthed out of their soul. That work came right from the spirit. You gave it to us freely, and we received it freely. And so, we have to honor it and make sure that we're acknowledging. That's what we have to do. That's what's up.
All right. Well, she's back.
I'm
She
back.
just touched down and she's already here. Look bad. But that's just a whole nother thing. We're going to go ahead and end this stream. So broadcast this later for those that missed it. But do check out the BIMA schedule. You're in for a great show.
Amazing.
All right. I'm on camera. This is